talking, start doing. Stop talking, start doing.
You're looking to be more creative and innovative?
Here on the beats.
And one of the keys to unlocking your potential is an entrepreneurial mindset. I like to say permission granted. No one is successful overnight.
Keep on keeping on.
Good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to 31 Days to PADITU. We are on day 19, and you know what that means? 3 months without a haircut. There's a lot of glue in here. Before we get started, I look forward to getting that haircut one day. I want to talk about something called the art of the long view, just for a few minutes to help people out, because right now is a really good time to be thinking a little longer term. One of the common things is that common characteristics of people who are hugely successful in life, whether that's Leonardo da Vinci in the 1500s or Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk currently in 2020, is that they have a long view. They look at the world in hundreds of years. They don't look at it in quarters like so many businesses and corporations do. They look at the world in long-term views, 200, 300, 400 years at a time. This gives them perspective on the future and make decisions that will be invested in now and pay off sometime in the future. And what I want to do with you right now is share with you a little bit about how I use this to crystal ball the future. Amy, if you can move to our vision board. I've done some pre-drawing here, and I want to talk to you about the art of the long view, crystal balling the future. We're not going to think out in 100, 200 years. I think that's very difficult for most people. I have run scenarios and visualized futures leading out over 500 years in my life as a consultant. But what I've found and what I've discovered after 53 years of life is that things work in cycles. Life goes in cycles. And I think if you look back on your life, you'll find that it works in 7 to 10 year cycles. This discussion's come up a number of times throughout the last 18, 19 days. And I want to show you how I use this to my advantage and how I think about the world and how it helps me see where the future is going, see the future in a way that a majority of people can't. I was reminded of this, and we'll have Jeffrey Kramer on as a guest. And Jeffrey is a former president of David E. Kelley, producer of a lot of television shows, and was in the movie Jaws. Was a board member of one of my companies a while ago. And he reminded me, he says, Sean, you're always seeing and looking into the future. And it reminded me that that's true. And then I thought about how can I turn that into something for PADITU? That's this. So when I look at the world, I look at the world in cycles. I've probably had 6 or 7 cycles in my life so far. I believe 2 months ago, based upon my experience and just how things are unfolding, that a new cycle has begun for almost everybody on the planet 2 months ago. So we're in a new cycle. That means to me, that's a 7 to 10 year cycle. So I start looking at the world in 7 to 10 years. And where do I want to be over here? Yeah, how do I get to this vision of where I see the future, where the future's going? How do I get there? This is 10 years in that period of time. In this case, I see a future where there's far less travel, that there's a whole new economy that's going to emerge. That economy is going to be enhanced by the internet. The internet and virtual worlds that we're engaging in are going to grow. So what we're doing right now is the future. It's not just now, it's the future. And so how do I engage in that future? My first step, 31 days to PADITU. So what I do is I break down the cycle. I know it's going to be a 7 to 10 year cycle. It's based upon life experience. We're now 2 months into a new cycle. I break it down, as we've discussed before, in 1 week, 1 month, 6 month chunks. So now I'm breaking down the actionable steps I have to take within this period of time to move forward. My goal is not limited. I'm focusing on what I can do right now to project myself and move myself one step at a time into the projected future that I see 10 years out there in the cycle. Things could change, things could morph. I'm building it based upon the experience that I have in my life, all the different vast networks that exist there, and everything I can pull in to then project forward. This is the art of future thinking. The greatest minds on the planet historically have looked at the world in 100, 200, and 300, up to 500 years, and perhaps even longer views, and then wound it back to what can I do now, this week, to impact the future 200 years out. In this case, I'm making it a little simpler for everybody and saying, let's just focus on the 10 years, but reel it back and say, what can I do in 1 week? What can I do in 1 month? And what can I do in 6 months that get me closer to moving towards this envisioned future 10 years from now? This is how I do it. This is how I see the future. And I've seen the future, experienced the future, and predicting the future over and over and over again throughout my life. And I'm starting to learn how to make that envisioned future more tangible and more real. And this continues to be the exercise I'm refining, honing, and modifying. So I encourage you to look at your life and go back, visualize it, draw it down, and see if your life actually works in 7 to 10 year cycles. I think you'll find it does. It works in 7 to 10 year cycles. And if you think about it and you project and you really say, okay, we're in a new cycle, that's an opportunity for you to plan ahead, to start thinking, okay, what do I want to be? What do I want to create? What do I envision for myself in 10 years from now? That's what you want to do. And you want to think in 1 week, 1 month, 6 month chunks. It makes it more manageable. I'm still projecting 10 years out in the future, impacting millions, if not billions of people around the world, creating a movement around PADITU that in 10 years is something we look back at this particular video one day and say, wow, that's how you do it. It's at least one way, but I encourage you, final thoughts, think about your life in cycles, 7 to 10 year cycles. I believe globally, we've now all started simultaneously a new cycle. You may have been in another cycle, but we're now in a new cycle. It's 2 months into a new cycle, another 7 to 10 years. And start thinking about what you can do this week, this month, and the next 6 months to advance towards your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. You can do it. Amy, who's our first guest? David, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, yes.
David, how are you doing? It's Sean. Good to see you.
Yes, I'm doing well. Oh, yeah, nice to meet you too.
What can I help you with? What question do you have?
Mine may not be a question, but it's all about my business.
Sure. Okay, time out. 1 second. Tell me, who's your customer? What's your product and service? How do you make money? I want you to tell me what's your product and service, who's your customer, how do you make money? 30 seconds.
I just doing business here, but the only challenges I have is about the registration detail. Because for us here, we're in the camp.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what's your question?
Get registered. For me, I don't have any question, but it's all just about the challenges I have in my business.
Okay, what's the challenge?
Like getting my company, if I wanted to register, getting to register, it is hard. Because for us, like, for instance, me, I'm a refugee, so I'm in the camp. Going into those people who do registering, it is difficult. So these are the only challenges which I have in my business.
For anybody who's out there watching, life in a refugee settlement is 2 to 3 times as hard to do anything, just the basic things in life is difficult. So David, I totally can empathize with the situation. What is your business? What do you do? What's your business? What are you selling?
For me, I do sell general merchandise and assorted items.
So it's a store. It's like a store, a retail store.
Yes, retail store.
Do you have one,
So
one store or two
yeah,
stores?
like yes, like in case these NGOs when they come, when they wanted to buy, they do asking me about the company registration details, which I don't have. So which make my business somehow hard.
What you want to do though is you want to go talk to the folks at Alight, our partners there, Griffin Works partners there in your settlement. They have connections to the people who will come and help fill out those forms for you. So they'll help you register your business and facilitate you through that. So it makes it much easier, David. Talk to the Alight folks. They'll help facilitate that so you can get that company registered. Your business registered.
Yeah, that is one of the challenges I do face here, and it is the one making me not getting money. But there is a lot of opportunity. But the only thing is that they could ask about the registration details, bank statement. We say we don't have it here. They come.
Yeah. So what you want to do is go visit Alight, the Alight office. Go to Alight.
Yeah.
They will help facilitate the registration of your business for you. They'll help you. They'll facilitate that.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges which I have in my business. But otherwise, everything are going well. I'm doing well in my business.
Okay, you're going to go talk, David, time out. You're going to go talk to Alight about registering, though, right? You'll talk to Alight? Yes?
I will take along without visiting them, but there is one guy who is the livelihood officer. He's the one used to come and he do visit us, and we do talk to him about all those about that challenges. So,
but within the settlement, we actually brought in a government official. That government official then walked through how to fill out the forms and was actually helping people fill out the forms. And since that time, Alight has set up, well, and I know COVID's come in, so I don't know what's happened with COVID in terms of this, but they were setting it up so that you could gain a better access and streamline that process to register your business. So they will help you.
Yeah.
They will help facilitate that registration for you. So it gets easy. Easier.
Yeah.
You know, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question about your business, David, because there was another business that's expanded into 3 or 4 other shops. They've grown from the one shop into 3 or 4. Have you thought about expanding your shop? Because what it did is it allowed them to have a greater buying power, so they were able to buy at a lower price because they were buying more and distributing it to all those other stores. Do you have a strategy to grow your store into other markets, other locations?
Yeah, it is not that too much, but because for us here in the camp, we do rotate, and sometimes we also go to the neighbor, whatever, this citizen. We go to them, but we don't go up to Kampala and whatever.
Yeah,
just within the camp.
Yeah, but you could go into other towns or other locations where there's a store, and so are you doing anything to make it easier for your customers? Like, are you doing any kind of delivery stuff?
The problem is that this government here, they have a lot of restriction about for us with the refugees. So it is hard for us. They don't allow us to move.
Yeah. But you would be considered essential because you're providing food supplies, right? So you're an essential service. Is that right?
Yeah, we do.
So could you set it up so that you were delivering the food to the people who were ordering food potentially? Is there a way for you to make it easier, create a convenience factor because I know people, even in the refugee settlement, they have to walk and it's a long distance. Maybe there's a way you could deliver to some people, charge a little extra, and create some really goodwill and grow your business longer term because you'd be helping these people out, making life easier. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I didn't forget, but yes, I remember. I know it.
Give it a try.
Yeah.
You can give it a try.
Okay.
But what you want to do,
okay.
David, is you want to contact the light. And I forget who's the livelihood officer there. You want to talk to them, our flight captain. Talk to them, and they'll help you get registered. They'll help make sure everything's filled out right.
Okay, I got you. I will try it.
Try
Okay.
some home delivery.
All right.
Try some home delivery for people.
Okay.
You'll do well. Good luck, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Yeah. Life in refugee settlements, everybody. Something that we're all blessed if we're not in a refugee settlement. I'll tell you that. And the people who are there are some of the strongest, most determined, most resilient and strong people I've ever met. Amy, who's our next guest? Chu. Maybe. I don't see her, Amy.
I'll invite her back. I'm sure she'll be right back. Would you be willing to take another question? I know yesterday was all finance. I have some that aren't. So
everybody wants to find
retrieve. I'll work it out.
Okay. All right, here's a question. Shout out here to Norman Schwartz. Good morning to you, Norman. My partner and I have been talking about how our business will run after we are older. We have teenage children, and they help out now, and maybe they will want to be in the family business and take it over someday. What if they don't? All right. Well, first of all, you can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. And so within family-run businesses, I always say it's degrees of dysfunction. What degree of dysfunction are you in related to? And some families there's no dysfunction, and then other families, can be just massively dysfunctional, particularly around business. And so I would focus in on the family, one of your children who is excited about your business, who gets involved in your business and is motivated by your business. And then nurture them, groom them, and start giving them more responsibility so they naturally will fold into a leadership role. Position them for it, help them understand that that's the role they're going for, make sure that they're completely on board with that. Since you have two siblings, you want to make sure the other one has an equal chance to step into that role. If they choose not to, it's their choice. Don't make it your choice that this one sibling is now in charge and is running the company and the other one's not. Even if they don't want to run the company, they may get upset and jealous and therefore create more tension and increase the level of dysfunction within the family dynamic. So I think that, number one, you can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. And so if you force a child, and I've seen this happen before within family businesses, which I've consulted and advised a number of family businesses in my life. Those that forced the children into the position against their will, and you can see it in their faces, you can see it in their mannerisms that they really don't want to do this and they're being pushed into it and they feel an obligation because it's their parents to do it, then that sets up a recipe for disaster because that person now is disgruntled from the beginning. They're only going to get more upset and more frustrated over time because it's really not what they want to be doing. So that's a recipe for disaster. Don't do that. Find your son or daughter who is excited about the business, spend time with them, groom them, position them, and slowly over time give them more responsibility. So when you reach that age, and give them more responsibility as they show that they're able to take on that responsibility. So at some point, you can really step back and the business is being run by your children. That's my advice. Now, if they don't, and I would start having these conversations earlier than later. Don't wait. They may be uncomfortable. They may be confrontational. You walk away from the meeting or conversation at the end. You want to understand, is one of them excited, motivated? Are both of them excited and motivated to take over the business? If not, what you want to do is start looking for either selling the business. Always sell the business at the high point if you can. Selling the business or hiring another type of person to come in as a CEO or somebody to president, operational person to start running the business. And maybe it becomes something where they're running it. You're not part of it, but it creates a passive income for you as the owners of the business. So two ways I can see doing that. You could joint venture with another business. So there's a third way. You could partner with somebody. So there's a lot of different ways, but if your children aren't going to do it and you've created this business as a way to create revenue or a retirement plan with the hopes that your children will run it and then they're not running it, I would try and sell earlier than later. I would try to sell at peak, or I would try to find somebody else to run it so you don't have to be in it, and then you would get the passive income from that business, or merge it into another business. That can become more difficult because you as a key personnel may have to go with that new business in that merger and may have to, at least for a year, continue working within that business as part of the merger agreement. So I hope this is helpful. I definitely think starting now and having the conversations in a more meaningful way of this is our 1 year plan. This is our 5 year. In 5 years, we want to be here. And then find out where your children sit and how motivated they are to take on greater responsibility in running the business. I hope that's helpful. Thank you. Chu, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
Hello,
Yes.
Chu. Good. We still have a little bit of a lag, Amy. Chu, why don't you express what your question is? Can you share your challenge, your question?
Nice to meet you. As you know, my family had made ceramic in Hanoi, Vietnam. Yes, and we can make a lot, many kind of ceramic, such as household ceramic, decorative ceramic, or interior ceramic decor. And now we want to ceramic art. You can see our artwork on, and we want the help, such as analyze opportunity for this also about something about how to create or develop a sales channel for this artist. Please help us.
Okay, I think what I heard, and I want to make sure, Amy, were you listening to this really closely? Did you hear what I heard? That expanding the ceramics, you've got new ceramics, you want to expand, and then you want to develop your sales channels for your ceramics. I believe that's what I heard. So I'm going to start there, okay? Now, I know a little bit about your ceramics because I eat off them pretty much daily. What I would say is this: you have some really unique pieces. You have those ones that light up, the lights inside, and then the windows are lit. You have, which is different than the ones they have in the United States. Then you have, different customized, more artistic pieces that are beautiful and more decorative, as well as utilitarian plates, artistically done plates, bowls, spoons, cups, that sort of thing. Do you have two levels, quality levels? So do you have like your high-end level and then like a more mainstream mass market kind of product? Do you have two products, mass market and then more high-end?
I think we want to approach the high level for our artist.
Yeah. What I was thinking is this, though. I was thinking you have two levels. You have your high-end market, right? High-end market, and that you're plugging into architects, right? Architects, architectural designers, hoteliers. Although I don't know how many hotels are going to be back in business right now. So that may not be the right market. But people are spending more time in their homes. They're spending more time, money remodeling. More people are spending money investing in their homes. I can see these architectural designers, landscape designers, and that network being one that would be very interested in your products, because then they can customize them for people who live in their home. So they can develop basically customized sets of dishes for people. So that's one. So it's the architecture, architecture, designer, landscape illustrator. Those kind of people are going to be plugged into high wealth people who are going to want to pay for custom ceramics. That's one. Then, and I had hotels, but I don't think hotels are going to be the right place. I don't think they're going to be active for a while. So what I'm thinking is this. I'm thinking that you have your high end and you're leveraging networks within. Yeah, I can draw this. Hold on. Thank you. Amy. So leverage high end. And again, this is landscape architects and interior designers. And I think what you're going to do here is plug into their associations. You want to plug into associations that and maybe promote and advertise to those specific ones using online methods, right? I know that if you go into Instagram, Pinterest, or any of those, there are all kinds of posts around home interior design ideas and concepts. I would be plugging ads in there saying customize your own dishware, design your own dishware, customize your own dishware. That way you can be leveraging the internet. So you're plugging in associations, but you're also promoting online where the people are. And I are you doing anything online with your how you're sharing how your ceramics are made? Are you doing any videos or anything?
We had a video, and I sent you the last time.
I have that. I could play that now if it would.
We have a video?
I do, yeah. One moment.
Perfect. Let's see what you got. Beautiful, Chu. Just stunning pieces of ceramic you're producing in your studios there. So what I'm gonna go back to, so the leverage the high end, plug into associations that are associated with landscape designers, architects, interior designers, the architecture space. So you're getting people at the beginning and start promoting. You can do all this online, right? You can identify them online and promote to them. I would then promote directly to the customer, the potential buying customer, by buying ads into Pinterest, Instagram, and other popular photo sites where people are hanging out looking for ideas. And I was just doing this for backyard ideas yesterday. And then have like quick clips of that particular video, of that particular item you've got there, giving them a sense of the quality. and mix it up. Make it so that you're promoting a custom dishware, custom homeware. You're promoting your artistic and creative ceramics as well. And then make it easy for them to buy it. This is the key. Buy now, click. And then it goes to wherever your online purchasing is, and you ship it from, UPS has started coming up with new shipping programs in Vietnam and Hanoi, I believe. So you'd be able to drop ship those to whoever was buying it, but you got to make it easy for them to buy it, so that when you're promoting it on a Pinterest, Instagram, or wherever anybody's looking for new home interior ideas, that they can make a quick purchase. The way the video is right now, it's too much information. I just want buy it now. It takes me to the page where I actually put in the information and make the purchase. So you want to make it easy for them to make the purchase as well. But what you just showed in that video is really stunning and beautiful, and I think that people would be interested. My third idea on this is, and I know this is, I think Neiman Marcus filed for bankruptcy. I think they did. I was trying to figure out what high-end resellers or retailers would be interested. So I'd be looking for high-end retailers who've gone online, who are selling more online and can start promoting that. I was thinking that there's a bunch of shops on like Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. I'm thinking that level of, and you've got Herms and you've got your Rodeo Drive there in Hanoi. Those shops, some of those shops might be interested in buying your ceramic pieces and then distributing to their retail outlets and selling, so that they would become buyers. That's who I'd be looking for as well, who would be interested in what you have. I'm going to stop there. Share with us what you're doing currently to get your product out in the market. Who's currently buying it? Did you hear me, Chu? I think Chu's stuck. Well, what I'd say is this. In this case, what you have, Chu, is a really high-end product. It's a beautiful product. And what that piece is, I could see it catching on, I could see it being something that people are collecting, the different styles or different colors of that particular ceramic piece. And if they're being produced in larger quantities, I definitely would be finding outlets and distribution channels with retail stores that can put it on their site and sell it themselves. So you're trying to get as many different groups to start promoting it. But I think that promoting it online on Pinterest and others who are and Instagram, where people are searching for home interior decorating ideas, that this would catch their eye. And then experiment with the different product lines you have and create these short videos. I'm talking about 20 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds that, buy it now. And they get the feeling, because that is really well produced. Again, I'm going to stop and you're back. What are you doing right now to, and who's buying who's buying those ceramics right now?
A lot of people want to buy our ceramic, but almost is architectural designer who want to decor our or someone want to pick something for present for friend or family.
I feel like there's an opportunity here to have two levels, a high end and a mid level. And the mid level could get you more into like a Target. They call it Target here in the States, right? And that's an item that I could see on their shelf that people would buy. And so I see like 2 tiers. And if you could figure out a 2-tier program, a two-tier product strategy, you'd be able to get into more of a mass market with that, but still have the high end as well. And it might be, I don't know, that's just my thoughts on this right now. It's not as focused as I normally do. So if you're going to go high end, I think we have 3 areas to focus here that are good. And that's leveraging the high end architects and landscape architects who would then, interior designers who would then buy customized products from you. Plug yourself into associations so that the associations that are tied to interior designers, landscape architects, they have, I'm sure they're doing online remotes and Zoom meetings right now and conferences virtually. So it's even easier for you to plug in. You just pay your membership fee and you're a member, and now you can network within those groups. Then I would have a online promoting strategy where you are delivering the goods and you're promoting it. And your promotion is specifically targeted to people who are looking at home improvements, backyard improvements, interior design ideas, and you just drop your ad into that search. And then high-end retailers. All those high-end retailers are sitting there in Hanoi near the Metropole, a hotel. I don't know if you've talked to them and see what it takes to get into their system. But some of those high-end retailers that are in the nicest hotels and nicest places on the planet would be ideal outlets for you to and distribution channels for you to plug into. And I believe it would sell. I know it'll sell. You just got to get in.
How we can connect to the hotel or architecture?
I would walk. So what I'm a big fan of just walking into the store. Have a sample of your product, not a big one, small one, something you can carry, and say, hey, I'm looking to talk to Herms. I'm looking to talk to you about placing this product in your collection or retail. Can you help me understand how I would go about doing that? They'll turn you on to somebody, or do a search on the Google and say, okay, buyers for, and LinkedIn is one of the best places. Like LinkedIn, you'll be able to find the buyers, the specific persons. Are you on LinkedIn?
Do you think, yes, we always search something about internet, but how do you think about the way to connect? We should connect directly or somehow?
Yeah, so I'm giving you 2 options. I'm giving you one, you go directly to the store that's there in Hanoi that you think would be a good distribution channel. Knock on the door, tell them what you're trying to do, and then they're going to give you referrals to what you need to do. That's one way. It's really for real. Second, LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn, look up the buyers for the specific companies. That person will show up. You'll actually get the person who's the buyer. You can then start contacting directly to the buyer for those retail distribution channels. So LinkedIn is probably your best friend in terms of trying to find these folks and then reaching out to them. When you do reach out to them, you want to be tight and clean. You want your subject to be understood and clear. You want to put as few little text as possible and more visuals to highlight your products so that you catch their attention and you're not like everybody else who's trying to reach out to them and they write novels. They write so much information, they don't read any of it. So quick, short sentence, photo, look forward to hearing from you. That's what I would recommend, is reaching out to those particular, because you can, from your desk, you can reach out to all of the different buyers. You can find those buyers through LinkedIn. Now, this is a challenging environment. This is a challenging environment. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
How do you think about the international market?
The what?
How to connect to international market? How to connect to international market?
How to connect to the internet with no market?
International market.
Yeah, well, the internet is a giant market. And what I'm saying to you is, like, on LinkedIn.
I think she said, international. She does have a difficult, we've got a difficult connection, but I think she said international market. How does she connect outside of her immediate space? and take it worldwide. This girl wants to go global.
That's what I'm talking about. So, Chu, this right here. Hold on. This we'll go here to the visual. You can see this? This is US, UAE, EU. Leverage high end. These associations I'm talking about are US based, are UAE based, and are EU based. So Europe, Middle East, and US, right? The biggest markets in terms of money, right? You join those associations in those countries with those interior designers, with those landscape architects, and start promoting to them in their association in their own country. US. So there's an entire national landscape association in the US. There's a landscape designer association. There's an entire architectural designer association, AIA, I think it's called, American Institute for Architects. Those associations you join, you buy ads and you promote to those people. And what I'm saying is they're holding events now, not in person, online, which means you can plug in more easily from Hanoi. Second, global. Ads on Pinterest, on Instagram are global. And what you're doing is you're targeting your ads. The ads are targeted to searches that are tied to interior design, to enhancing your house, to backyard design, landscaping, whatever it may be that's tied directly to your products. Maybe people are searching specifically around art, ceramics, ideas. You could advertise there. When you do that, you say, buy now. So wherever they are, if I'm sitting in Washington, D.C., I say, buy now. It goes to you. You ship it to me. Use UPS that's now set up in Hanoi to get it to me in the U.S. You charge me for that shipping as well, and it gets to me. So you're able to ship globally from Hanoi, and once you advertise on Pinterest and Instagram, you're global. You have very, very smart web people also in Hanoi, so get those people on board and help you be very strategic and targeted with your advertising. And then what I'm saying, the third thing, and this is the less likely of them because retailing is being reinvented right now as we speak, that you go to some of the high-end retailers, search LinkedIn, search LinkedIn for the buyers of the retail channels you believe where people will buy those products. And then reach out to those buyers and see if they would be interested in your product line or your products that you're making, knowing that some of them, that each one of them is unique, individual, and special. Then you should be able to find some retailer who would be interested more than likely in your products. So that's 3 strategies to go global. That's 3 strategies to go global. Leverage high-end associations, USA, UAE, EU. I would start with the USA and EU first. UAE can be more difficult and they're more temperamental a little bit in terms of their decision-making to make a purchase. Promote it online, and then target high-end retailers and buyers through LinkedIn. 3 strategies to grow your distribution from Hanoi now. Is that helpful?
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're going to check back in, Chu. I can't wait to see you through it again.
I will try with my team tomorrow.
Thank you, Chu. See you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow. What do you think of that, Amy?
That was really cool. And while you were talking, because that's kind of in my wheelhouse history-wise, I threw together some links real quick for her that I plan to send out. I think it would be a good start for her. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, she just needs to understand she's sitting there and she sits on some extraordinary quality ceramics and she has a whole factory there making this stuff. It's pretty impressive. And so she just needs to take some action and start promoting this, because that video was even phenomenal.
Right. It was well produced. So I'm excited to see what she's going to do moving forward. And I'm just really excited that we were able to see that today. I thought that was lovely, and it's inspiring, you know, because every piece is absolutely unique. And so of course that drives the value of each piece up. And for a collector who is looking for something new, this is a beautiful addition to any collection they have.
You know, I mean, it's a beautiful design too. I mean, it's just really everything they do is just like uniquely their own, right? I want to see them do, Chu, if you're still listening, some kind of human-like figure, some kind of unique human-like figure that can be have different clothes and different looks, so that it's like multiple people collect it. You know, little short, standing. You know, I got Gumby over here, but you know what I'm talking about, like something like this tall, something like 3 feet, 2 feet, something that like the size of what they've got there, but a humanoid, I think, would be more humanish looking, more like an artistic type of thing. I think that people would go crazy collecting that, and that. Chu, that's what you want to do, is get people into a collecting mode. So there's different every year, every month, or every few months, you're collecting a limited edition, which I'm sure they are already limited editions. But just drives the collectability. So now people have 12 of them instead of just one. For those people who aren't going to go to zero, like Slava was suggesting, and want to continue collecting more stuff. I will tell you, Chu's stuff is phenomenal. Okay, is there another question you want to give me before we wrap this up today?
Yeah.
I'm collaborating with several people. How do I structure ownership? Let's go to the vision board here. That's a great question. Okay, whenever I'm structuring a company, in ownership, the one thing I want to understand is the roles, right? Particularly at the beginning, roles. And so, you know, who's the founder? Are there co-founders? And supporting roles. This is just a start, right? This is just a start. Supporting roles. This is kind of like structuring it. The person who came up with the idea and has the resources, and the one who's driving the idea forward, should definitely be the one to start. So let's start with 100% for this person. Now, if you've got co-founders, and these co-founders are in it, like they're in it, their skin's in it, they're working as hard as you, they're truly a co-founder, then you got to figure you want to give them something pretty significant. I'm usually, you know, some kind of 35%, something like this. Here's the key: vest over 3 years or more. So the key here is a vest. They don't get the 35% right away. Right? If you are the founder, you started it, it's your idea, and you're the one driving it forward and bringing the resources to bear and making it happen, then you want to try and retain 100% as much as possible, because what you've got over time, it dilutes really fast. And so you can see 35% takes you down to, what is that, 65%. You now have 65% based upon that 35%. If you have other supporting people, they're potentially gonna, you know, I like I said yesterday or the day before, when I form a company, I issue, first of all, let me go back and do this. I issue this is start company. I issue 4 million shares, units, whatever you want to call it. I issue those 4 million shares. I then set aside 5%. And that is for distribution to partners, to key people who are working, whether they're co-founders or whether they're there for just at the key moments. 5% of that 4 million then goes to distribution to partners, employees, first employees. I distribute that 5% in 5,000 to 6,000 shares each month. All the shares vest in 6 months. What this means, if somebody decides that they're going to leave, let's say 3 months along, they're like, this is too hard, I'm going to go take a regular job, they're out. None of those shares vest. Let's say it was 5,000, that would be 15,000 shares that they just walked away from because they didn't vest. It takes 6 months for those shares to vest. So if they leave at any point in that 6 months, none of the shares vest. You could choose to have just the shares that vested each month. So you could choose to have the shares vest each month. But what I found is that people are unpredictable. You don't know how they're going to behave under pressure. You don't know how, because the pressure will get intense. They may eject out. You've got to protect those shares as much as possible. I'm going to go back to this right here. So if you truly are co-founders, and let's say you both are, or 2 or 3 of you came up with this idea, you've come up with it together, you need to be prepared that somebody on that team will not survive the term and the transformation of the business as it grows. It's just going to happen. Somebody's not going to survive. If there's 3 of you, if there's 2 of you, it just happens over and over again. Somebody just can't move it all the way. And so you've got to have mechanisms to get those shares back, and you've got to have mechanisms to have those shares vest over time so that they're not all given away right away. I would hire a lawyer. This is a lawyer issue. Right? This is definitely a lawyer issue. And I would have that lawyer advising you and writing up documents and agreements so that everybody's on the same page. I will say this, start the conversations early. Too many businesses wait too long to have discussions about ownership and distribution of ownership. The person who is the founder, who's come up with the idea, who's executing on the idea, pulling together the resources, and has some kind of track record of being able to move these things forward, is definitely the one who gets the most in terms of ownership and wants to retain at least a controlling amount until at the eventuality of potentially getting some investment, which would further dilute your ownership. Then you would look at other people who would be on board and what their value and what they're contributing, and then produce a number, a percentage that they would receive for their willingness and dedication to be part of the business at the beginning. Make sure that vests over time. It could be the vesting takes place every 6 months over a 3-year period, but they only vest every 6 months. And then they don't, if they stay 1 year, they don't get or a year and a half, close to a year and a month, they don't get that next 6 months. They only get 1 year of the stock to keep. And you can set it up so those stocks have to be purchased as well at some point for an agreed upon amount based upon the idea that the stocks will go up. I'll also say this, those stocks have zero value unless anybody believes they have value. So when I'm distributing 5,000 to 6,000 shares a month to a contractor or an employee, that's not really costing me anything whatsoever, because until those shares become valuable and somebody's willing to pay me for those shares, they really don't have any value. So it's all perception in the beginning anyway. What is real is ownership and control of a business and decision-making powers. And so you want to be very judicious and cautious and careful about how you're distributing your ownership and distribution to co-founders or other people associating with your business. And that's why I put aside 5% of all every time I start a business, because that is then my ability to distribute some shares and offer people some ownership without having to dilute the business in a significant way. Gives me tremendous leverage, and then I'm able to move forward. And then people feel ownership, are more part of the business in a greater and more meaningful way. I hope that was helpful. We have another question.
I thought that was very helpful. I do have one
for
more.
You? Is that helpful for you, or what about the person who asked the question?
Yeah, no, I'm always interested in how you should divest your business, and if you had 3 equal partners, do they get 3 equal shares? I mean, I've just never had partners. I've always thought we start out with the same vision. I always saw that happening. Everybody's gung ho, let's go.
Sure, that's what a lot of people think, but I think right. That's not the way to look at it. You got to take a very unemotional view of this. It's also a great way to test the response from the folks who you're engaging in a conversation, because if they think all of a sudden I'm the one who's the founder and I came up with this idea, all of a sudden you now have really serious challenges that you can't move, that are difficult to move through. And if you've got 3 people, one of them's not going to make it. Most likely 2 won't. You'll be left with 1. I wasn't intentional leaving my little middle finger there. And so,
well, I mean, I looked at it like life challenges happen to me that divert me from my original vision as a one person. Can I imagine how complicated things might get if somebody else has started down the path with us on a business, a third or whatever, and then
you got to hire a lawyer.
Right.
You get a lawyer involved from the beginning. Do not create agreements without a lawyer or an accountant if you're in a country that only works with accountants. So they're like, there's some countries that don't have lawyers, they have accountants. Whatever it is, you've got to have that legal support to make sure that you're doing it right, and then have the conversation early. I constantly run into businesses and I'm like, so who's the decider here? Who makes the decisions? And they're like, we do. I'm like, we do? Who's in charge? We are. This won't work. Somebody needs to be the decider. Even if they don't own a majority of the company, somebody's in the decision-making capacity. It's not everybody making the decision, because especially in a startup and a new business, you've got to move fast. Second thing is, distributing ownership is something that should be done very judiciously and should be talked about and understood. And the person who is the one who's the founder or maybe owns the majority of the company needs to have clarity on how to distribute those shares and that ownership. And it's only a problem when you grow to a certain point and that all of a sudden your business is really making a lot of money. That's when it becomes a problem. You want to take care of this early so it's not something that becomes a hazard or a huge difficulty down the road. Remember, the art of the long view is what you want to take in life. In looking in 7 to 10 year cycles, some of the decisions you make in these first few months, if you're starting a business and you're distributing ownership, can have huge impact 5 years from now. And so getting ownership right is really critical. And also you need to feel comfortable that I got the right ownership, or otherwise as the founder and the person who came up with it, all of a sudden you're feeling like I've just distributed all this ownership and I don't have very much. You could become upset, disillusioned by the situation, and therefore perform at a lower level. Again, not helping your business. So I can't emphasize how critical it is to get support, legal support, accounting support, to help advise you, people who understand new business formation, not just any lawyer, not just any accountant. They're very different from running a business or having an existing business and supporting them. So this was a great question and very important. I talked about bankers and having a banking friend. You want to have friends with bankers. Bankers are some of the best people to make friends with because you never know when you'll need a banker. Lawyers are the same, right? Lawyers, you want to identify. I've been working now for 20 years with my lawyer, and I don't ever see that changing. Actually, I have multiple lawyers. I've been working with another lawyer for 10, 15 years. And so lawyers provide different services also. But what I want to be clear on is you want to make friends with lawyers and have a lawyer in your pocket, in your advisory position, someone there to support you at any time you may need some advice. This lawyer, I would want you to have a lawyer who doesn't look at only the worst case scenario, but also looks at the best case scenario. So he's giving you options, she's giving you options in between this range that allow for you to understand and make a better decision. So it's not just the worst case scenario, it's also the best case scenario. And then you can come to the middle and make a better decision. Well, I see our time. These hours go by so freaking fast. Well, we love it, and we're going to keep doing it. Same PADITU channel, same PADITU time. See you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day, and keep putting a dent in the universe.
You got to never, ever give